'Twas down the glen one Easter morn to a city fair rode I. There armored ranks of marching men in squadrons passed me by. No fife did hum, no battle drum did sound its loud tattoo, but the angelus bell or the living swell rang out through the foggy dew. Right proudly high over Dublin town they hung out the flag of war. It was better to die 'neath an Irish sky than at Suvla or Sudelbar. And from the plains of royal Meath, strong men they came hurrying through, while Britannia's Huns with their long-range guns sailed on to the foggy dew. 'Twas Britannia bade our wild geese go, that small nations might be free, but their lonely graves are by Suvla's waves or the shores of the great North Sea. Oh, had they died by Pierce's side, or fought with Cabra, their names we will keep where the Fenians sleep, 'neath the shroud of the foggy dew. Oh, had they died by Pierce's side, or fought
Leading the fancy dress parade there are the adjudicators, Father Louis Lohan, later, our resident artist Sheila Flanagan. We'll be talking about the two later. And fair play to the kids that talked out in Clement. And leading the rules here are Conor and Luke McDermott with the Healy Rays. There's no need to say anything about them. The whole country's talking about them. We have more entries there. I can't read them out. We have the Conn brothers there, looking dangerous and revolutionary. We have Elizabeth Farrell and her nurses. We have the great to be Irish people there. And I believe we have 3 children here from Britain. So we welcome them especially. I think our grandchildren are the Brian Devine in Ballygar. They are very, very good. Hopefully today will keep fine. This video will be hit by weather. So everything the kids are ready to go. And we're breaking up with the Terranati. Yeah, I don't know how it's from. I can't go to the home. I know the sound is dinner. Good lads. Get it out there, Lou. Very good. Rose McNamara. Very good. And that's Margaret Timber. Very good. Very good. All dressed up in the 1916 here. Next we have James Hanley here of Socialist Republic in complete good fashion cap.
Let's go back. The last word, people.
Looking dangerous with that musket. Next we have Nani O'Heath style. Bacon, tea and biscuits. Charlie has that.
Oh, sorry.
And then we have German power in the 1916 rising. And what an influence those good ladies had. We'll be talking about those later on as well. And see the background there. There's looking pretty quality anyway, I think. That's very beautiful. None of fell off with the backyard. And then, is that Tara, is it? Ah, very good. Good morning, Tara. And then we have Countess Archivich when she was a baby. Very good. Now the results of the adjudication process, I have to leave it to the adjudicators. All highly qualified are my head in this field. Okay, thank you. We'll be back to you later.
With the biscuits and the tea. Would you like to come up?
Very sorry.
Oh, sorry, I'm coming.
James Connolly. inspiration medal for all the children, so if you'd all like to come up. And thanks a million, you were brilliant.
Okay, my bad. Who?
So with that, I'm going to hand you over to Anne-Marie Farrell, who's going to introduce Ballyclea School.
If I may say so, Sean, I think there's a teacher lost in you. Just good afternoon, everybody. 3rd and 4th class from our school are going to do something that they did on Proclamation Day at our school. Now, obviously, some of them had a few too many Easter eggs this morning, so if there are little gaps in the performances, it's because our pupils haven't been able to show. So to the children who have come, thank you very much, and to their teacher, Emer Mahoney, who has driven down from Loughrey to be with them today, thanks to her also.
Some of the boys had grown up and had been young men, but others were still children. They were trained and ready to fight for armies.
Padre O'Mara fought in Boland's Mill in 1916. He trained with Queen Éireann. This is what he remembered.
We had
meetings twice a week with marches and exercise carried out on Sunday. We practiced arm drills with Harleys and broomsticks. We played games such as hurling. Weeknights, we learned Irish history, Irish language and first aid. Sundays were the best as we got to go to Dan Martin's house for tea, where plenty of jam was supplied.
Sean Houston. Sean Houston was a member of Fianna Éireann. Sean was born in Limerick. He worked in Kingsbridge railway station in Dublin. In 1916, Sean was 25 years old. He fought during Easter week, but was captured and sent to prison. On the 8th of May 1916, he was executed in Kilmainham jail. 15 years later, the railway station where Sean worked was renamed Houston Station in his honour.
Sean Healy. In 1916, Sean Healy was 15 years old. On Tuesday of Easter week, he was delivering an important message to Thomas MacDonagh. He was in his Fianna Éireann uniform and he was shot dead. The hat he was wearing is now kept in the National Museum of Ireland.
Today we remember the boys and men of Fianna Éireann who died during the 1916 Rising.
We must also celebrate our Irish heritage and embrace our culture of music and dance.
Tell me, Ma, when I go home, the boys will leave the girls alone. They pull my hair and stole my comb, but that's alright till I go home. She is handsome, she is pretty, she is a belle in Belfast City. She is courting 1, 2, 3, where was the jelly? Tell me, Ma, when I go home, the boys will leave the girls alone. They pull my hair and stole my comb, but that's alright till I go home. She is handsome, she is pretty, she is a belle in Belfast City. She is courting 1, 2, 3, where was the jelly? Everybody says he loves her, all the boys are fighting for her. Knock on the door and they ring on the bell. Oh, my true love, are you well? Up she comes as white as snow, rings in her fingers, bells her toes. Hold to the bird, says she will die. She doesn't get the better with an old red eye. When I go home, the boys will leave the girls alone. Hold my hands down my comb, that's alright till I go home. She's handsome, she is pretty, she is a belle from Belfast City. She's fortune, what you think? Pray with the tell me who is she?
Women played a very important part in the 1916 Rising. Coming aboard was the Women's Army. Doctors, nurses, teachers and all other women joined this army to fight during Easter week. They wanted a better Ireland for everyone. Some women organised soup kitchens to feed hungry men, women and children. Others trained in first aid and cared for the sick. Rose McNamara was one of over 200 women who took part in the Rising 1916. Rose heard about Coming Amon from her friend Melissa Maloney. Helena Maloney, sorry. Rose decided to join the army. She made clothes for the poor children, learned first aid and helped in the soup kitchens. She also learned how to use a gun and fought during Easter week. Rose was arrested and sent to Kilmainham jail after the rising. Today we go back in time to experience a day in the life of Rose McNamara.
Hello, my name's Rose McNamara. I'm a member of Cumann na mBan. I'm in charge here at Marbone Lane Distillery. The Irish rebels call in here for food and to get their wounds dressed. We all work very hard, making dressings and bandages. My hands are covered in blisters, but never mind me. Poor Mike, one of our snipers, was shot dead last night. Shots again! Please, God, protect our men. What day is it? Thursday, Friday. It must be Saturday. Hold on, someone's here with news. It's Thomas MacDonagh. He just said we must surrender. I've got to go. We're going to the British to confirm our involvement. We will surely be sent to Kilmainham jail. Oh God, save our souls.
Elizabeth O'Farrell was one of the leading ladies in the 1916 Rising. She was chosen by Pádraig Pearse to negotiate and deliver documents of surrender. We are honoured to have a relation of Elizabeth in this school. Geraldine, our secretary, has a family connection. I will now ask you to close your eyes and imagine you are in Kilmainham jail where you will meet Elizabeth O'Farrell. The Easter Rising has been a very tough and trying few days. I was stationed in the GPO. During the Rising. We supplied and attended the wounded there. My job was a dispatcher, which really means I carried out messages, instructions to other leaders around Ireland. I even travelled as far as Athenry to deliver a message before the Rising. I was one of the last to leave the GPO, as I was nursing poor James Connolly, who was shot and left in a very bad way. Then, Pádraig Pearse chose me to carry out the very important job. I carried the Red Cross insignia as a sign of surrender. There were bullets flying over my head. I was terrified, but I knew I had to be brave. I continued to travel around to announce around to surrender in outposts of the city. I now sit here in Kilmainham jail praying to be released. Elizabeth O'Farrell, is there an Elizabeth O'Farrell here?
Yes, that's me.
You're free to go. Really?
You free to leave?
Yes, follow me.
Oh, thank you, God.
As I walked out one May morning to take a pleasant walk, I sat me down by an old oak tree for to hear two lovers talk, for to hear what they might say, my dear, for to hear what they might say, so that I might know a little more about love before I go away. And B, it stands for Paddy, I suppose, and J for my love, John. W stands for the false Willie-O, but Johnny is the fairest one. Oh, Johnny is the fairest one, she said. Oh, Johnny is the fairest one, and I don't care what anybody says, for Johnny is the fairest one. Come and sit you down on the grass, he said, over here in the pleasant green, for it's been 3/4 of a year or more since together we have been. Together we have been, she said, since together we have been. 'Tis a long 3/4 of a year or more since together we have been. And P, it stands for Paddy, I suppose. And J for my love, John. W stands for the false Willie O, but Johnny is the fairest one. Oh, Johnny is the fairest one, she said. Oh, Johnny is the fairest one, and I don't care what anybody says, for Johnny is the fairest one. No, I'll not sit by you, said she, not today nor any other time, for I hear you're in love with another pretty girl, and your heart's no longer mine, and your heart's no longer mine, she said, and your heart's no longer mine, for I hear you're in love with another pretty girl, and your heart's no longer mine. And P, it stands for Paddy, I suppose. And J for my love, John. W stands for the false Willie O, but Johnny is the fairest one. Oh, Johnny is the fairest one, she said. Oh, Johnny is the fairest one, and I don't care what anybody says, for Johnny is the fairest one. And I don't care what anybody says, for Johnny is the fairest one.
and everyone that has participated today. So we have Eamon Kent, I think, and Thomas Clark are going to do the honour.
A cordial galéir is mór an honor agus an privilege dumsa ar son an coiste agriachta an seo. Fáilte I chealaí a chur ribh cuileganna an seo aniu. Tá súlagam go daith nó an lá, an ihe, agus an dearad seachtainna libh galéir. Na heachtarí atá a comóró agin aniu, dathraí siad stair na tíre seo go Joe. Mar sin is ceart agus is cóir go ndéanamid cuimhneacháin agus ceiliúra ar an ócáid stairhfuil seo comóró an 100 bliain 1960 come leis céil. The first part, I'll be repeating that in English over there after a while, so don't worry about it. The first part of this commemoration ceremony involves the raising of the 3 flags, the singing of our An Navíon, and the unveiling of the centenary plaque, which you see here on my left. The first flag is a new Newbridge flag, recently commissioned after much thought and discussion among the elder statespeople of the parish. And that flag will be raised by famous Newbridge citizen, Mrs. Siobhan Cunningham. The second flag, hold it a minute now. Like a racehorse, mad to go. The second flag behind me here is the flag of the Irish Republic, which was in use and flew from the GPO on Easter week 1916, and it was our national flag, I think, up to the commissioning of the tricolour. That will be raised by author, renowned historian and conversationalist from Tansy Village, Mr. John Joe Crehan. Bratnahairn, the third flag, will be raised by another esteemed and distinguished citizen of Cloughrack, Mrs. Rose Kelly, in memory of all those who gave their lives in the cause of Irish freedom, but remembering particularly her late father, Frank Quinn, who took part in the fight for freedom 1917 to 1921, and whose medals Rose is wearing here today. She's probably the only direct link we have with somebody who played an active, or in the area, who took active part in the fight for freedom during the War of Independence. The medal on the right, as you look at Rose, you'll be talking to her later on, is the medal that was awarded in 1942 to all national ex-servicemen who took part in the War of Independence. The other medal on the left-hand side is a truce commemoration medal awarded to ex-servicemen in 1971. It was a Jubilee medal of the commemoration of the signing of the truce. So having got all that out of the way, Iram Shanish or Siobhan Bani Cunningham on Chéad Brat a Ardo. New flag, Newbridge flag being commissioned and on public view for the first time. It's very simple. It's maroon and white, reversed triangles with an iconic emblem of the bridge over troubled waters in the bottom right hand corner. Iram Shanish or Sean Joseph O'Crehan and Dara Brat a Ardo Mashadele. That's it, John Joe. And Iram Shanish or Roisin Biani Kelly Bratnahairn a Ardo. There's one thing I know, you'll know what way the breeze is blowing. Tighten that one a bit there. Now, before I forget it, I'd like to thank Father Michael Breslin and Father Tom for giving us such a prominent location for this structure here, which is about to be unveiled. Thanks Seamus Lohan and the lads for getting it ready. Now, the third part is the unveiling of the centenary plaque. And Jack Gavin from Boherbana and Rory Cunningham will unveil this plaque. Both are involved with the Galway Minor Football Academy at the minute, having graduated a few short years ago from the Winfield Football Academy. And we wish them well this year and next year. And of more immediate importance, those two lads are playing in an All-Ireland B football final in Croke Park next Saturday with the Holy Rosary College Montpellier, with Shane Coleman, Cathal Crahan and Dara Murphy are also involved in that. So it's great to have 5 lads from the parish, and if you're going to win an All-Ireland medal, Croke Park is the place to do it. So I'll ask Jack and Rory to unveil the plaque, please. It's self-explanatory. I'd like to thank the sponsors and so on. I'm not going into that. Somebody else will be dealing with that later. Well done, lads. So that finishes this part of the ceremony. If you want to take photographs or anything like that, the lads will be here, and we'll give you a few minutes then to just chill out, and we'll go over for the main part of the action over here opposite Cunningham's. Opposite the GPO, sorry.
Slew, heart on the running wind, we will dress there, and cheer our cheer fire. Neog ver we cheer on off we trial, and nog the hymns have earned up will legander yell con bosh no sail leg on a script we love of naber show live conning on a
Is there? We'll be welcoming the different volunteer. He's after shipping a couple of slugs there. He looks rich.
I think close up the middle as well. You don't mind, I beg your pardon. Hey Mike, look around here and film your team. Come on. You're here in 100 years' time.
The events which we are commemorating today changed the course of our Irish history forever. It is only right and proper then that we should celebrate and commemorate our fallen heroes in some way on this historic occasion, the centenary of the Easter week rising of 1916. There are a number of groups I'd like to welcome at the outset. First of all, the intrepid band, the 1st Battalion of Newbridge coming among ladies. They're flitting around there on their bicycles doing their business with Nurse Elizabeth Farrell and her cohorts. Also, the 2nd Battalion of the Newbridge Volunteers are conducting manoeuvres in the city centre as well today. If you don't see them, you'll hear them. Also, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Brigadier General William Henry Lowe and C Company of his Sherwood Foresters billeted in Newgrove, who are with us as well. We'll be more about them later. Also, Sky News are covering this. Sean Brown has recently been appointed Sky News correspondent, having left CNN for more money, and is now Republic of Ireland correspondent, so he's covering this event for us as well today. So without further ado, this second section entails the introduction of the 7 signatories, a small bit of information about each one of them, a general overview, first of all, of a few minutes of an overview of what happened and the main people involved and so on. So without further ado, if there's anything else, I think I'll talk to you later. I'm going to hand you over to Tommy Quinn. Tommy needs no introduction around these parts. So Tommy will give a brief overview of the 1916 rebellion. Thank you.
The Easter week rising of 1916, Monday, April the 24th to Saturday the 29th, was organised by the Military Council of the Irish Republican Brotherhood, the IRB, consisting of 7 members, all of whom signed the Proclamation of Independence and all of whom were later executed for their part in the rising. Although all were members of the Irish Volunteers, none could claim to have any extensive military experience. Their plan was to take over several key public buildings in Dublin, declare a republic, hope that thousands of Irish people would support them, and that the British wouldn't have the time or the manpower to react. Unfortunately, things didn't go according to plan. First of all, the IRB was a political, not a military organisation. It depended on other groups like the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army to provide arms and men. Secondly, they were poorly armed, and because of this, the leader of the Volunteers, Owen MacNeill, was not in favour of armed conflict at that time. Roger Casement and Joseph Plunkett were sent to Germany in early April to procure 25,000 rifles and ammunition, but Casement was intercepted on Bannistrand, County Kerry, and the arms lost a few days before the rising, when the Ord was scuttled. However, Pearse and Connolly and others were more idealistic. They were prepared to offer themselves as martyrs in an attempt to inspire the Irish people to fight for independence. The rebellion was planned for Easter Sunday first, but then was switched to Easter Monday. Due to conflicting orders, on, off, on, only about 2,000 volunteers out of a total of 12,000 mobilised to fight, mainly in the Dublin area. They had some success at first, but were hopelessly outnumbered by about 16,000 heavily armed and well-trained British forces. After the order to surrender was issued on Saturday, all the leaders were arrested and imprisoned in Kilmainham jail.
We'll now introduce the signatories and we'll give you a small little bit of information about each one of them. It's not going to be a history lecture now or anything like that. And I'd just like to state at the outset that this pageant we want it to be educational and we want it to be cultural, and we might have a small bit of military activity as well. So we have a couple of poems that are directly associated with the different signatories. We have a song and we have more things later on. So we'll work through it as quickly as we can. Next up is Mr. Tom Clark, Tomás O'Clery, who will be introduced by Patricia O'Shea. All of the signatories, by the way, are all local celebrities in their own right, but they're about to become world famous after today.
Thomas Clark, 1858 to 1916. Tom Clark was the man who did the most to bring about the Easter Rising. He was born in England to a Leitrim father and a Tipperary mother. The family moved to Dungannon in County Tyrone when Tom was 7 years of age. He later joined the IRB and spent some years in America, where he learned about explosives working on building sites. He was friendly with the great Fenian leader, O'Donovan Rossa. Later he moved to England and became involved in the 1883 dynamite campaign, bombing targets in London, for which he was later arrested and spent 15 years in jail. He returned to Dublin in 1907, opening a tobacconist shop in Parnell Street. He befriended some well-known IRB people like Sean McDermott and Bulmer Hobson, and he helped recruit up to 2,000 new members. When the Irish Volunteers were founded in 1913, he influenced McDermott and others to steer them towards rebellion. In 1915, with Thomas MacDonagh, he arranged the funeral of O'Donovan Rossa, believing that doing this and bringing his remains home from America for burial in Glasnevin, this would greatly boost the nationalist cause, with Padraig Pearse giving the new famous graveside oration. Since he was the eldest of the military council, he was given the honour of signing the proclamation first. Clark Railway Station in Dundalk is named after him. He was executed in Kilmainham Jail on the 3rd of May 1916.
Thanks very much, Patricia. Okay. Just like to mention, before I forget it, two other famous celebrities that are among the crowd there today, Mr. Raymond de Valera and Mr. Michael Collins. They'll be signing autographs and giving out cheques after a while. So next up is Thomas McDonagh. Thomas McDonagh and Sinead Kelly from Terror will give us the couple of huckle on Thomas McDonagh.
Thomas McDonagh, 1878 to 1916. He was born in Cloughjordan, County Tipperary, and educated at Rockwell College near Cashel. He was a teacher, poet, playwright, and a peaceful political activist at first. However, his views hardened as he got older. Later, he lectured in English in UCD. He was a friend of Joseph Plunkett and Pádraig Pearse, with whom he taught for a while at St. Inda's in Rathfarnham. With Tom Clark, he helped organise the funeral of O'Donovan Rosa. Married to Muriel Gifford, a sister of Grace, who later married Joseph Plunkett, they had 2 children. Although a member of the Volunteers, he only joined the military council a few weeks before the Rising. McDonagh had no previous military experience, yet he commanded the 2nd Battalion of the Dublin Brigade of the Volunteers at Jacob's Biscuit Factory. The poet Francis Ledwidge wrote a short poem called The Lament for Thomas McDonagh in his honour after his execution.
You couldn't have picked a more apt poem for today. So if you listen to the words of it carefully, Bevian Monaghan from St. Brendan's will now recite the poem for us. Keep in near it, Bev, now. She's our youngest speaker now.
Lament for Thomas McDonagh by Francis Ledwidge. He shall not hear the bittern cry in the wild sky where he is lain, nor voices of the sweeter birds above the wailing of the rain. Nor shall he know when loud March blows through slanting snows her fanfare shrill, blowing to flame the golden cup of many an upset daffodil. But when the dark cow leaves the moor and pastures poor with greedy weeds, perhaps he'll hear her low at morn, lifting her horn in pleasant meads.
Thanks very much there. Nor shall he know when loud March blows through slanting snows her fanfare shrill. The last verse there is full of, I'm not going to give you history lesson, it's full of, I forget the proper word for it, but the dark cow is Ireland. And the pastures poor with greedy weeds are the occupation of Ireland by England at that time. Next up is James Connolly. Seamus O'Conneilla and Stephen Carty will introduce James Connolly for us.
1868 to 1916. Another one of the main driving forces behind the Rising. Born in Scotland of Monaghan parents, he joined the British Army, spending some time in Cork before returning to Scotland and later the United States. The poverty he witnessed in Scotland and later in the United States made him become a socialist. Eventually, he returned to Dublin in 1896 to work with the well-known trade unionist Big Jim Larkin. Trade union meetings were sometimes brutally broken up by the police, so the Irish Citizens' Army was founded to protect workers from such brutality. In 1914, he succeeded Jim Larkin as leader of the ITGWU and the Irish Citizens' Army. In January of 1916, he met with Pearse to plan a joint action with the IRB. The Union's headquarters at Liberty Hall became the planning centre for the Rising. The proclamation was printed there, and the rebel leaders met there before dispersing to the different city locations on Easter Monday. He was twice wounded by sniper fire and was executed sitting on a chair on the 12th of May 1916. Connolly Station in Dublin is named after him.
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks very much, Stephen. Our next signatory is Joseph Plunkett, Joseph Mary Plunkett. We have two items going with him. We have a poem and we have a song. Now, as we know, all the signatories were men of God. So this poem was written by Joseph Mary Plunkett. We're going to say the poem first. We're going to introduce him then. And we're delighted to have our own man of God here to recite the poem for us. Father Louis Lohan needs no introduction to the locals, but for the benefit of those who are strangers here, he spent 2 lifetimes looking after the spiritual needs of the people of the Gulf area of southern Mississippi. So he's home in Ireland now, and he commutes regularly between his home in Lisquel and Rookhill on his new tractor with his dog Sam. So, thanks very much, Louis.
I see his blood upon the rose. I see his blood upon the rose, and in the stars the glory of his eyes. His body gleams amid eternal snows. His tears fall from the sky. I see his face in every flower. The thunder and the singing of the birds are but his voice. And carven by his power, rocks are his written words. All pathways by his feet are worn. His strong heart stirs the ever-beating sea. His crown of thorns is twined with every thorn. His cross is every tree.
Thanks very much, Father Louis. No, Matthew's next. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, you're next, sorry. Now, next up is to introduce Joseph Plunkett is Sean Hines from the Windy City in Illinois, Chicago in Illinois in the US of A. He has serious Newbridge connections, a son of Charlie and Jane Hines, nephew of Carmel Crowe, Tim Hines, Arthur Hines, Tommy Hines, and the late Mike Hines. Sean was home here with his friend Bradley Giacconi, did I get that right? A month ago, and this gig, when he found out this gig was gone, he said, I want to be there. So we penciled him in his best American accent to tell us about Joseph Mary Plunkett.
Thank you.
Keep near the mic.
Yeah. Joseph Mary Plunkett, 1887 to 1916. A poet and activist born in Kimmage, Dublin, into a middle-class Catholic family. His father, Count George Plunkett, was a papal knight, the youngest and most skilled military planner of all the signatories. He got to know the others through the Gaelic League and the IRB and the military council which planned the rising. The plan was to seize certain strategic buildings and interlink them through walls and tunnels. In April, he and Roger Casement went to Germany to buy major arms for the Irish Volunteers. Unfortunately, the British got word of the impending shipment and intercepted the out at Bannostrand in County Kerry. Both men were arrested. His story is one of the saddest of all because at 1:30 a.m. on the morning of his execution by candlelight in Kilmainham jail, he married his childhood sweetheart, Grace Gifford, after which they were only allowed 15 minutes together under military supervision. Executed in Kilmainham jail, May 4th, 1916. This event is immortalized in the words of the well-known song Grace, made famous by Jim McMahon and the Dubliners.
Thanks, Sean. Now, we don't have Jim McCann and we don't have the Dubliners, but we have Matty Crowe to give us a blast of Grace.
As we gather in the chapel here in old Kilmainham jail, I think about those past few weeks, or will they say we failed? From our school days they have told us we must yearn for liberty, but all I want in this dark place is to have you here with me. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They'll take me out at dawn and I must die. With all my love, I'll place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Now I know it's hard for you, my love, to ever understand the love I bear for these great men, my love for this dear land. But when Porry called me to his side down at the GPO, I had to leave my own sick bed. To him I had to go. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger, and take me out at dawn and I must die. With all my love I'll place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Now as the dawn is breaking, my heart is breaking too. On this May morn as I wake out, my thoughts will be of you. And I'll write a note upon the wall so everyone will see. I love so much that I could see his blood upon the rose. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger, and take me out at dawn and I must die. With all my love I'll place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Oh, there won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye.
Gona míle maith Matty, that was brilliant. Well done. Next up is Eamon Cant, the only one of the signatories that had a Galway connection. Looking dangerous here. And Martina Fitzmaurice from Ballachley will give us the couple of focal on Eamon Cant. Martina.
Eamon Cant, 1881 to 1916. Born in Ballymoe, County Galway, his father was a member of the RIC stationed there. The family moved to Dublin in 1891, when Eamon was 10 years old. A talented uilleann piper, he was fascinated by Irish culture. Eventually he became an accountant with Dublin Corporation and joined the Gaelic League, where he met Pearse and other nationalists. In 1905 he joined Sinn Féin and supported James Connolly in his fight for workers' rights. Later he was recruited into the IRB, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, by Sean McDermott, and joined the Irish Volunteers in 1913. He was Director of Communications and commanded the 4th Battalion of Volunteers stationed at the South Dublin Union, now St James's Hospital, where some of the fiercest fighting took place. Cant once prophetically wrote, "In the years to come, Ireland will honour those who risked all for her honour at Easter 1916. Eamon Cant was executed in Kilmainham Jail on the 8th of May 1916. Cant Station in Galway is named in his honour.
Thanks very much, Martina. Next, we're doing well now. Hopefully the rain will keep away. Next up is Sean McDermott from Leitrim. Looking dangerous as well. And Sinead Flynn from Tully Village will give us the couple of huckle on him.
Sean McDermott, 1884 to 1916. McDermott was one of the lesser-known 1916 leaders. However, he was a very influential and popular figure in nationalist circles. He promoted the nationalist cause right across the country and firmly believed that he and others might have to offer themselves as martyrs for the cause of Irish independence. He was born in County Leitrim in 1884 into a strong nationalist family. As a young man, he moved to Scotland to work for 2 years, after which he returned to Belfast and joined the IRB in 1906. Later he moved to Dublin and got to know Tom Clark. In 1910, he was appointed manager of the IRB newspaper, aptly named Irish Freedom. He was a founding member of the Irish Volunteers in 1913. Although afflicted with polio, which left him partially disabled, he fought in the GPO with Pádraig Pearse and James Connolly. He was executed on the 12th of May 1916 in Kilmainham Jail. Páirc Sean McDermott in Carrigan Shannon is named after him.
Thanks very much, Sinead. We're doing well now. I'm keeping an eye on the rain behind me here. When we get through Pádraig McPeirish, we'll have a break. I'm going to deal with him myself. Pádraig Pearse, 1879 to 1916. Pádraig McPeirish is generally recognised as the main voice of the Easter week rising. Born in Brunswick Street, Dublin, he had one brother, Willie, who was also executed for his part in 1916, and one sister, Margaret. His father was a stonemason. Pearse was inspired by Wolfe Tone and the United Irishmen of 1798. A teacher by profession, but also a political activist and a prolific writer of poetry and prose in both Irish and in English. The Wayfarer, Banchleva ag Quinua Wach, and the Isagon stories are some of his well-known writings, but perhaps his best-known piece is that which he wrote about his mother before his execution. Eva is beside me here, and Eva Cunningham will now recite The Mother for you. Keep it close to her now, out loud. Keep it close to her, out loud now.
The Mother. Pearse wrote this poem for his mother, some hours before he and his brother Willie were executed. It is as if he sees her after his death, horrified at the thought of losing her 2 sons, but also very proud of them. Louder. I do not grudge them. Lord, I do not grudge. My 2 strong sons that I have seen go out, to break their strength and die, they and a few in bloody protest, for a glorious thing. They shall be spoken of among their people. The generations shall remember them, and call them blessed. But I will speak their names to my own heart, the little names that were familiar once, around my dead hearth. Lord, thou art hard on mothers. We suffer in their coming and their going. And though I grudge them not, I weary of the long sorrow. And yet I have my joy. My sons were faithful, and they fought.
Thank you, Eva. Continuing on, as editor of An Clive Sullish, the newspaper of the Gaelic League, He believed, and I quote, "Language was intrinsic to the identity of a nation." A founder of the Irish Volunteers in 1913, he was also sworn in as a member of the IRB, a secret organisation whose aims were the overthrow of British rule and replace it with the Irish Republic. In August 1915, he was chosen by Tom Clarke to give the graveside oration at the funeral of O'Donovan Rossa, where he stated, and I quote again, "Ireland unfree shall never be at peace." Clarke also chose him as spokesman for the rebellion and to read the proclamation at the GPO on Easter Monday. It was Pearse also who issued the order to surrender. Executed 3rd of May 1916, numerous streets, GA clubs and Pearse Stadium, Galway are named after him. I'll now call on Pearse Féin, Pádraig MacPíris, to read the proclamation for us. Keep near it, Sean. It's kind of left me near.
The proclamation of the Provisional Government of the Irish Republic to the people of Ireland. Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generations from which she receives her old tradition of nationhood, Ireland, through us, summons her children to her flag and strikes for her freedom. Having organised and trained her manhood through her secret revolutionary organisation, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and through her open military organisations, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army, having patiently perfected her discipline, having resolutely waited for the right moment to reveal itself, she now seizes that moment, and supported by her exiled children in America and by gallant allies in Europe, but relying in the first on her own strength, she strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies to be sovereign and indefeasible. The long usurpation of that right by a foreign people and government has not extinguished the right, nor can it ever be extinguished except by the destruction of the Irish people. In every generation, the Irish people have asserted their right to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the past 300 years, they have asserted it in arms. Standing on that fundamental right, and again asserting it in arms in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign, independent state, and we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to the cause of its freedom, of its welfare, and of its exaltation among the nations. The Irish Republic is entitled to, and hereby claims, the allegiance of every Irishman and Irish woman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and of all its parts, cherishing all the children of the nation equally, and oblivious of the differences carefully fostered by an alien government, which have divided a minority from the majority in the past. Until our arms have brought the opportune moment for the establishment of a permanent national government, representative of the whole people of Ireland and elected by the suffrages of all her men and women, the provisional government hereby constituted will administer the civil and military affairs of the Republic in trust for the people. We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessing we invoke upon our arms, and we pray that no one who serves that cause will dishonour it by cowardice, inhumanity, or rapine. In this supreme hour of the Irish nation, must by its valour and discipline, and by its readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas J. Clarke, Sean McDermott, Thomas McDonough, P. H. Pearse, Eamon Cant, James Connolly, and Joseph Plunkett.
Brilliant. Brilliant. There's a bit of a move on now. So as I said before, you have been an outstanding audience. We're going to give you a break for a few minutes. We're going to break now to denote the passage of time from Easter Monday until the following Saturday. And when we speak to you again, it'll be Saturday. Now, in the meantime, we have Willie Nelson himself. Mr. Shane Kelly is here. And Shane is going to entertain you. That's providing, hopefully, that the rain holds off. And his wife, Anne-Marie, I must say they're always on hand for any local gigs, and they're great. What are you doing there? He's going to give us a rendering of the Foggy Jew.
Okay. Come all you young rebels, and list while I sing. For the love of one's country is a terrible thing. It banishes fear with the speed of a flame, and it makes us all part of the patriots' game. My name is O'Hanlon, I've just turned 16. My home is in Monaghan, the place I was weaned. I learnt all my life cruel England to blame, and so I'm a part of the patriots' game. Now this Ireland of ours has for long been half free. 6 counties are under John Bull's tyranny. They say De Valera is greatly to blame for shirking his part in the Patriots' game. Now they told me of Connolly, who was shot in a chair, his fine body twisted and broken and bare. His fine body twisted and broken and maimed. They soon made him a part of the Patriots' game. But now as I lie here, my body all holds, I think of those traitors who bargained and sold, and wish that my rifle had given the same to those quislings who sold out the Patriots' game.
Brian, thanks very much. In the meantime, General Henry Lowe, Brigadier General Henry Lowe, has demanded an unconditional surrender. The rebellion is over. The signatories have been arrested and court-martialed, but two of them were lucky enough to get their... Michael Collins and Eamon de Valera had their sentence commuted to life imprisonment. They didn't spend their lives in prison, of course. Michael Collins both went on to be famous politicians in Ireland of their own right, but unfortunately Michael Collins had a very short life. He was Minister for Finance in the first Dáil, 1919, and was ambushed during the Civil War on the 26th of August 1922 at Bale-na-Blá in Cork. Eamon de Valera needs no introduction. He went on to be Taoiseach of our country and served 2 terms as President before he died at the grand age of 91, I think, in 1975. Now, we're into the last section now, and I just ask that you give it the dignity and the respect that it deserves. And Francis Fennerton will then complete the song. So I'll hand over to Francis now to sing the Ballad of James Connolly.
A great crowd was gathered outside of Kilmainham, their heads all uncovered, they knelt to the ground. For inside that grim prison lay a brave Irish soldier, whose life for his country about to lay down. He went to his death like a true son of Ireland. The firing party he bravely did face. Then the order rang out, present arms and fire. James Connolly fell into a ready-made grave.
It's okay, Francis. For logistical and other reasons, we know that the signatories weren't all executed together, but we're going to do it here now today, all together. They were all executed in the Stonebreakers Yard, that area of Kilmainham Jail.
Permission granted. Soldiers at ease. Attend to the prisoners! Soldiers, return to line! Attention, soldiers! Firing squad! Present arms! Aim!
We'll have the remainder of the ballot here standing now, please.
That flag was hoisted, the cruel deed was over. Gone was the man who loved Ireland so well. There was many a sad heart in Dublin that morning when they murdered James Connolly, the Irish rebel. God's curse on you, England, you cruel-hearted monster. Your deeds stay with shame all the devils in hell. There are no flowers blooming, but the shamrock is growing on the grave of James Connolly, the Irish rebel. The forecourts of Dublin the English bombarded. The spirit of freedom they tried hard to quell. But above all the din came the cry, no surrender. 'Twas the voice of James Connolly, the Irish rebel.
Brilliant, Francis. Very good. We're nearly there. Can you hear me? We're nearly there now. Well, that's out you come. Well. Okay. You want the full cast out? Okay. We'll give you a chance to take the different groups later on if you want. Just to give it a final finish. You get plenty of chance to take photographs afterwards. Before the rain comes, I want everybody to stand and we're going to have a minute's silence in respect of all the people who gave their lives in the cause of Irish freedom down through the many centuries. I'll blow the whistle to begin the start of the minute, and I'll blow it to finish it. Yesh Love J. Karaushit Kalea. On behalf of the committee of that, I'd like to thank Sean himself. Sean was a wonderful coordinator, and nobody put more work into this outfit or this gig than Sean Gavin himself. So I'd like to publicly thank Sean for his brilliant coordination work. Thanks very much, Sean.
So the next part of the event today is a tree planting ceremony in honour of the 7 signatories. The trees were provided by the Newbridge Tidy Towns Committee, and I do want to recognise the Tidy Towns Committee for the work they do right throughout the year. The village always looks fantastic. Actually, you know, I was talking to Arthur Hines in there just in terms of the event today. I met him in Paddy's there, and he said he came out from Galway. He passed through a lot of towns and villages, and you wouldn't think it was you wouldn't think 1916 was 100 years on. He said nothing happening, but it really does reflect the get up and go and attitude and energy in Newbridge that what's going on here today. And myself, I'd like to credit all of you guys that and women that made today possible. I know you've been working on this. You said weeks, Sean. It seems like months you've been meeting on this. So you deserve huge credit. So the tree selected. Yeah, well done. They all deserve a round of applause. Oh, yeah. The trees selected are oak trees. They're selected for a reason. The oak tree is a tree that's strongly associated with Ireland and indeed this part of North Galway. It's a tree with a long lifespan. So all the youngsters here today who are lined up here, in 100 years' time, these trees will still be standing. And you know, the history's been celebrated today, but history has also been made today. And I'm sure the people that come after all of us 100 years from now will be standing here and remembering all of you and Matthew and your mates and your friends who planted these trees. So, you know, as I said, as well as looking back at history, we're also creating history. So the first tree is being planted by Matthew Cunningham, and Matthew is Bob Cunningham's grandson, and there's a nice symmetry here that Sean is representing Pádraig Pearse, and Bob Cunningham and Mel Gavin were great friends down throughout the years. So good to see that connection continuing. And again, just quickly, Pádraig Pearse, all the signatories were talked about previously, but just a couple of quick facts about him. Born in Dublin, huge interest in the Irish language and Irish culture. He teacher and barrister. He founded 2 Irish-speaking schools in Dublin, and he was also seen as one of the main authors of the proclamation. He was president of the GPO on this day 100 years ago. He was executed on the 3rd of May, and he was 37 years old at the time. So Matthew, let you plant the tree in honour of Pádraig Pearse. Well done, Matthew.
No bother to you.
So 100 years from now, this tree will be standing in honour of Pádraig MacPiarish. Well done, Matthew.
Well done, Matthew. Thanks, Stuart.
Well done, Sean. Well done, Matthew. Great job. Hi, Eva, Jerry. So, second tree is being planted by Eva Traers. You're good to see here, Eva. In honour of Sean McDermott, and again, Sean McDermott, born in Leitrim Park. Sean McDermott and Carrick-Shannon is named in his honour. Sean McDermott spent some years in Scotland. In May 1915, actually, he was arrested in Tuam for giving a speech against enlisting in the British Army. He contracted polio in 1912. He was in the GPO as well on the Easter Sunday in 1916. executed on the 12th of May and was 32 years old at the time. Sean McDermott was a man of many words. He was certainly not shy in talking, so why the organisers chose Seamus Lohan to represent him is beyond me, but I had nothing to do with it. So Ava, will you do the honours in recognition of Sean McDermott? Well done, Ava. Well done, Sean. Nice job, Ava. No. So the tree number 3, kind of hard to say, is being planted by Fionn Heavey. Hi, Fionn. Good to meet you. In honour of Eamon Cant. And as mentioned already, Eamon Cant was born in, not far from us here in North Galway, in a place called, small village called Ballymoe. Cant railway station in Galway City is named in his honour. He was an accountant with Dublin Corporation prior to the Rising. He had a huge interest in the Irish language and history, and he was an accomplished uilleann piper in his days, although I'm sure he wasn't as good a midfielder as Pádraig Conway. He even put on a performance with the uilleann pipes for Pope Pius X in 1905. He led around 100 men in the South Dublin Union during the Rising. He was executed on the 3rd of May and was 35 years old at the time. So Fionn, I'll let you do the honours there in honour of Eamon Cant.
That's the job.
Well done, Fionn. That tree will be there 100 years from now, Fionn. Well done, Pádraig.
I'll finish it if you want. I know you're going back to the
So this is tree number 4 being planted by Oisin Crehan, grandson of Eugene and Mary Crehan. This tree has been planted in honour of Joseph Mary Plunkett, Joseph of Plunkage. Joseph Mary Plunkett was born in Dublin. He was a poet and a journalist. He developed TV as a youngster and actually suffered from poor health for all his life. He left his hospital bed actually to join the Rising. He was after having an operation. He was stationed in the GPO during the Rising, and Matty Crowe sang a song earlier. What's unique about Joseph Mary Plunkett, he married his fiancée Grace Gifford in Kilmainham jail a few hours before he was executed. As I said, a man that had been sick all his life, and not sure whether he ever drank a pint in the Shivan bar. And Noel O'Brien here is representing Joseph Mary Plunkett. He was 35 years old at the time of his execution on May 3rd, 1916. So, Oisin, I'll let you do the honours. You'd know he's used it before, that's for sure. Well done, Oisin. Well done, Noel. Man, Oisin. How are you doing? Good to meet you. So Declan O'Brien is planting tree number what is it, number 5, in honour of James Connolly. And again, as mentioned already, Connolly was born in Scotland to Irish parents, immigrant parents. He spent most of the first decade of the 1900s in the US. A very active socialist, he championed the rights of workers, and including block leaders from Williamstown and the like. He led the group that occupied the GPO. He got badly injured during the Rising, and as you saw earlier, he was sitting on a chair when he was executed. He couldn't stand for the execution. He was shot while he was sitting on a chair. He was the last of the revolutionaries to be executed, and that took place on the 12th of May. He was 48 years old at the time. So Declan, I'll let you do the honours here. Hold on, Declan. Well done, John. Well done, Declan. Hi, Aoife, is it? Chloe. Oh yeah, Chloe, sorry.
Just come a little bit away from the... No, just come forward here because this sign is in the way.
Okay. So Chloe Conway is going to plant tree number 6 in honour of Thomas McDonagh. McDonough was a native of Tipperary, a teacher by profession. He was also a poet and a playwright. He had close ties to Pearse and Plunkett and was a late addition to the group of seven leaders. And he was the commander of the battalion that occupied Jacob's Biscuit Factory. Thomas McDonough is represented here by Mike Cunningham, and Paddy Cunningham, may he rest in peace, will be a very proud man, Newbridge man here today. I'm sure he'd love to be here, but I've no doubt he's looking down on us. Thomas McDonough was executed on the 3rd of May and was 38 years old at the time. So, Chloe, I'll let you do the honours. Well done. Is being planted by Aoife, is it? Aoife Hines, hi. How you doing, Aoife? The final tree has been planted by Aoife Hines from Tonacar in honour of Thomas James Clark, Tomás O'Clery. Thomas Clark was born in England, close to the Isle of Wight. He spent 10 years in the US, and he also served 15 years in a number of different English jails for his active involvement in the Fenian movement back around that time. He was a big proponent of the armed revolution all his life. He was the oldest of the 7 leaders. He was 59 years old at the time, although Gus Shaughnessy certainly doesn't look anything like that. But the makeup department did a great job today to Gus to get you looking that old. And Thomas Clark was executed on the 3rd of May 1916. So, Aoife.
Did you how you said you out?
So that's the well done, Aoife. Well done, Gus. Yeah. So that's the end of the tree planting. As I said, those trees will stand for the next 100 years and more, and they recognise seven men of different backgrounds who came together and laid down their lives for something they all believed in. So as Sean said earlier, there's a historical display, and it's not just about 1916, there's a historical display of the parish in the hall. I was there this morning for half an hour, and it's really worth your while to go back. It's fascinating. It's fascinating to spend a bit of time there just looking at the history and the map of the parish. So again, well done to everybody involved in today. You should be very proud of what's been achieved, and we'll wish you the, as I said, go to the hall and take a look at it. It's well worth your while. Thanks very much, folks.
Never done really in public. Jerry, we asked Jerry to be in the seat today, not just picking anyone at random. Jerry Commons is one of the most down-to-earth fellas. Had a job within Galway that probably no one else in Newbridge would ever have at that level. He drinks in the local, he's one of the lads, he has the crack, he loves his football. And most important, he looks after all the local people from around Newbridge, Mount Ballygare that need a job. Go into Medtronic, you're sure to get a job. Jerry, we doesn't go unnoticed, and just take this opportunity to say thanks very much, Jerry. We have very saying
it's from Ballaclea.
Yeah, from Ballaclea and Winfield and all the guilds. And just they did very well, and it was great to have them there today. Good to see you. And every time, make sure they get one of the commemorative medals. I know a lot of the lads went wrong giving them out, but make sure you don't go home. So any of the children that are here today, make sure you get a commemorative medal. If any adults want to have one, we'll sell them at a $5. If you wanted a commemorative medal, up to
Sorry? Say hello. I'm here with Imelda Lohan, sister of Seamus, who was Sean McDermott in the pageant. She's a national school teacher. She should have a good opinion on this thing. We'll just ask her for her views on the pageant in general. Imelda?
I thought it was absolutely wonderful. I think everybody put in a huge amount of effort. It was very emotional, very affecting, and I think all credit is due to the people of Newbridge and the community of Newbridge on what they've achieved here today. It will be remembered long into the future.
Thanks very much, Imelda. Thanks a million. Talking here to local agricultural contractor Francis Kelly from Newbridge, Kilkerran or Clonberne or Myla is it now? Enjoyed it himself and his daughter. What's her name? Lucia. Yeah. Lucia here. We know her granny and her granddad well as well, and her mammy. What did you think, Francis?
Oh, I thought it was a great display, Tomas. Credit to the whole lot of now the way you put it all together. You know.
Was there any particular scene or event that stood out?
Well, I think the soldier end of it there, you know, it really sent home the message about the whole thing that was brought up here today. You know, I think it's fabulous.
Very good.
Well done, yeah.
Thanks very much, Francis.
Very impressed.
Thanks, yeah, very good. Matt Nocton here, chef extraordinaire. Matt, what did you think of the day?
I thought the day was absolutely unreal.
Yes.
And long may it live.
Very good. Thanks very much, Matt. This was our man, publicity man on Facebook, Matt Janoon. I'm sure, I don't know what the reaction was before it, but I'd say there'll be a fair bit of reaction afterwards, Matthew.
There should be, yeah. A few people taking photos and all that sort of crack today. There's a good crowd around, so it went off without a hitch, didn't it? There was a bit of rain, but it didn't really affect it overall.
Very good.
Went down, very good day.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Matthew. Enjoyed it.
Oh, very good.
I think I saw your grandmother there, was it?
Yeah, she was down alright.
She was, fair play.
95 there last week,
She
so.
was in one of the cars here opposite from the
She was, yeah. She was 95 last week, so.
I tell you, I'd have mentioned her, but I forgot her now. And
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, thanks very much, Matthew. Tina, out here. Delia, will you say a few words? She will, of course. Talking here to Delia Harkin, wife of Frank, and her grandchildren, and your name is?
My name is Adam Carr.
Adam Carr. This lad's mother was a famous camogie player, has All Ireland medals to prove it, past pupil of Winfield National School, I might as well add. And this little lady?
This is Dev's little girl, Devilleras today. Eva Harkin.
Eva Harkin, daughter of Shane Harkin, who was aiming Devilera in the pageant today. Say hello, Eva.
Hello.
Hello, very good. Any comment, Delia? Did you enjoy the pageant?
I thought it was very well. I'd like to thank Sean Gavin and all the commission members that organised it, and the 50-50 for sponsoring it. I think everyone should try and sponsor it more now by getting more tickets, etc.
Roll in yellow tickets on sale. Thanks, million, Delia. Talk to Sean himself now to wrap it up, Sean. Now that the thing is kind of over and has settled down after a few an hour ago, it has been the subject of much favourable comment, I think, in general.
Unbelievable. Everyone saying it was the best day ever in Newbridge, and it was worth all the effort. And for lads that never had any experience acting or anything like, they all took it so serious. It was phenomenal, brilliant.
To be fair, you'd think it had been practiced for months. No, it hadn't been practiced for months. You went through that about 6 times at most?
Six times max, yeah.
Now, Sean, you were there yourself the first evening. The improvement from the first evening to today was immense.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. But I think it's like anything. You had to wait till today to take it serious, and when we did, we were able to do it. We had it all off.
I just want to put this on the record now. It's hard to believe this, but when the first meeting was called for this last December, I think it was the week after Christmas. 2 people turned up for the meeting, Sean Gavin and John Geraghty. I meant to mention it today, but I forgot. I only thought of it now. And from there it grew. I think there was 5 at the next meeting, and then it grew to 7 and 10, and it ended up, I'd say we had close on 100 people nearly involved today, and maybe more if you're talking about that.
Yeah, there was definitely over 100 people, but I think everyone that was asked to do a job or take a part, we're more than happy. And it's a great thing about Newbridge. They all row in and help no matter what we do.
Very good. Thanks very much. So we'll leave it at that, so Sean. Thanks a million. Thanks yourself for being with us very much from the beginning right up to today. So thanks very much. It's your 3rd or 4th trip up here. Of course, you're not new to this area. Sean has covered big events like weddings and teacher retirement parties and things like that there, so it's no bother to him. Thanks a million, Sean.
Thanks very much.
beside a vigil keep, the west's asleep, the west's asleep. Alas and well, may Aaron weep when Connacht lies in slumber deep. Their lakes and plains smile fair and free, mid rocks their guardian chivalry. Sing, oh, let man learn liberty from crashing wind and lashing sea. For often in O'Connor's land to triumph dashed each Connacht clan, and fleet as deer the Normans ran through Corshley Pass and Ardran, and later times saw deeds as brave for glory guards Clan Rickard's grave. Sing, oh, they died their land to save, from Mockram slopes to Shannon's waves, and if one a vigil keep, the west's asleep, the west's asleep. Alas and well, may Aaron weep that Connacht lies in slumber deep. But hark a voice like thunder spake, the west's awake, the west's awake. Sing, let England quake. We'll watch till death for Aaron's sake.
The man was all shot through that came today into the barrack square, and a soldier I'm not proud to say we killed him there. They brought him from the prison hospital, and to see him in that chair I thought his smile would far more quickly call a man to prayer. Maybe I don't understand this thing that makes these rebels die. Yet all things love freedom and the spring clear in the sky. I think I would not do this deed again for all that I hold by, as I gazed down my rifle at his breast. But then a soldier I. They say he was kindly, different too, apart from all the rest. A lover of the poor, and all shot through his wounds ill-dressed. He came before us and faced us like a man who knew a deeper pain than blows or bullets ere the world began. Died he in vain? Ready, present, and he just smiling. God, I felt my rifle shake. His wounds were opened, and around his chair a pool of blood. I swear his lips said, "Fire," when all was still before my rifle spat that cursed lead. And I was picked to kill a man like that. James Connolly.
A great crowd had gathered outside of Kilmainham, their heads all uncovered, they knelt on the ground. For inside that grim prison lay a brave Irish soldier, his life for his country about to lay down. He went to his death like a true son of Ireland. The firing party he bravely did face. Then the order rang out, present arms and fire. James Connolly fell into a ready-made grave. The black flag they hoisted, the cruel deed was over. Gone was a man who loved Ireland so well. There was many a sad heart in Dublin that morning when they murdered James Connolly, the Irish rebel. God's curse on New England, you cruel-hearted monster. Your deeds, they would shame all the devils in hell. There are no flowers blooming, but the shamrock is growing on the grave of James Connolly, the Irish rebel. Years have rolled by since that Irish rebellion, when the guns of Britannia they loudly did speak. The bold IRA, they stood shoulder to shoulder, and the blood from their bodies flowed down Sackville Street. The four courts of Dublin, the English bombarded, the spirit of freedom they tried hard to quell. But above all the din rose the cry, no surrender. 'Twas the voice of